Welcome back guys. In this video, we will be discussing pattern number 19. So, in the pattern number 19, you have to print a swastika. So, it goes like this, then it goes down and then it goes right. Then it goes up, then it goes across and then it goes up again. So, this is for n is equals to 5. So it is a very interesting question and I urge you to do it yourself, and if you can't and if you get stuck, then just see the solution video. Okay, so try to do it yourself and then we'll meet in the solution video. I hope you tried it yourself. Now let's discuss the solution of this video. So this is the pattern that you have to print. This is for n is equals to 5. Let's try to draw it for n is equals to 7. So that we can see it clearly. So we have 7 rows and we have 7 columns. Okay, 6 and 7. So first our pattern goes like this till 4, then it goes down 5, 6 and 7, and then it goes right again. Right? It goes up till n is equals to 4, then it goes across and then it goes up. Right? So this is the pattern that you have to print. So I'll divide this pattern in 5 parts so that we can understand easily. Right? So what I'll do is I'll divide it like this. So our first row, so for n is equals to 1, we'll do something else. For this part, for this row, for this part, and for the last row, that is for n is equals to 7, right? And this is, okay, let's not write n is equals to 1 and n is equals to 7. Let's write like this. When our I is equals to 1, we'll do something else. When our I will be equals to number of rows, we'll do something else. For this row, for row number 4, this is considered as n by 2 plus 1, right? So because n is 7, 7 by 2 is 3, 3 plus 1, 4. So this will be n by 2 plus 1. So when an I is equal to n by 2 plus 1, we'll do something else. We'll just print stars in the whole row. For these two rows, our I is less than n by 2 plus 1. Right? And for this part, our I is less than n. Because this is n, I is equals to n. So this part will be I less than n. Right? So now we try to figure out in how many columns we have to print stars. So we figured out the 5 sections that we will divide this in. This is our first section, this is our second section, this is our third section, this is our fourth section, this is our fifth section. Let's see. For our first section, we'll print star in the first half as well as in the last column. So for this, our j should be either equals to n or our j should be less than equals to n by 2 plus 1. Because we just discussed that 4 is n by 2 plus 1, right? So for the first row, our conditions of printing star is either our j should be equals to n, that is our last column, or our j should be less than equals to n by 2 plus 1, so that we can print these 4 stars, right? So now for the second part, this part, we have to print star in this column as well as in the last column. So for the last column, our j is equals to n, and for this column, our j should be equals to n by 2 plus 1. That's it. For this column, we just print star in all rows. We don't have to apply any condition because we have to print star in every column, right? For this part, we have to print stars in our first column as well as stars in our middle column, right? So either our j should be equals to 1 or our j should be equals to n by 2 plus 1, right? Now, for our last column, either our j should be equals to 1 or our j should be greater than equals to our n by 2 plus 1, right? So either our j can be equals to 1 or our j should be greater than equals to n by 2 plus 1, because we have to print in the second half. So with all these conditions, we will be easily able to print our swastik, this pattern, right? Now let's try to code this. How we can do that? We have to do it by step approach. So first of all, we'll take input, we'll get our number of rows. Right? Now we start our for loop for our number of columns. I is equals to 1, I less than equals to n, I plus plus. We start another for loop for j, that is our columns. J less than equals to n, j plus plus. Now what we do is we apply our 5 conditions, right? Which 5 conditions? These 5 conditions. This is our first condition, second condition, third, fourth and fifth, right? We'll apply these 5 conditions. So what was our first condition? That our I should be equals to 1. That is our first row. If our I is equals to 1, we'll do something, some work. Second condition was if our I is less than equals to n by 2 plus 1. So this is our second condition. Else if our third condition is the middle row, that is our I is equals to n by 2 plus 1. This is our third condition. Our fourth condition was whether our I should be less than n. In this condition, we will not apply equals to. We'll just, yes, right? Because we are talking about these 2 columns. So we'll just write less than n by 2 plus 1. In our fourth condition, we'll write whether our I is less than n and else. Our fifth condition. So in our first condition, what were our conditions? In our first row, we have to apply these 2 conditions, that our j should be equals to n or our j should be less than equals to n by 2 plus 1. So we check if our j is equals to 1 or if our j is equals to n or our j is less than equals to n by 2 plus 1. So if this is the case, we print star, or else we just print spaces. System.out.print spaces. So in all of these conditions, right, in all these 5 conditions, we have to either print star or print spaces. Right? So we just copy. Something bad happened. Wait, I'll just copy these 4 lines and paste it in all the conditions. And we'll just make changes. We don't have to print in our third condition. We have to print this in our fourth and fifth, because in the third condition, we don't have to print any spaces. So for our second, let's see, for our second row, now we are here. So what we have to check, whether our j is our last row or j is equal to n by 2 plus 1. So we check whether our j is equals to or our j is equals to n by 2 plus 1. Then we print star, otherwise we'll print spaces. Now for the third row, we don't do anything, we just print star, because we don't have to print any space in our third row. in our third case, right? In this case, we have to print only stars. We don't have to print any spaces. So we just write system.out.print star. Now for our fourth case, for this case, we write whether our j should be equals to 1, that is our first column, or our j should be equals to n by 2 plus 1, that is our middle column. So we write either our j should be equals to 1 or our j should be equals to n by 2 plus 1. And for our last case, our j either should be 1 or it should be greater than equals to n by 2 plus 1. So either it should be equals to 1 or it should be greater than equals to n by 2 plus 1. Right? Now what we do? We just print next line. System.out.println. Right? Let's try to run this program. And it is printing our swastika. Let's try to show it for 5 so that you can see it is working fine, because for 3 it looks like a square. Okay, so our output is accepted. This is our correct answer. Let's try to submit this and see whether it works for all the test cases. It should work fine because I showed you that it works for n is equals to 5 as well. So in this question, it was a very interesting question. We just had to figure out that we have to divide this in 5 parts, these 5 parts, and then we just figured out in which column we had to print stars, otherwise we'll print spaces. So we divide a question in separate parts and we figure out each of their conditions. So I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next question.